Hello everyone, I'm here today with a new video, and this is kind of just a check-in video. And if you've been following along and watch my channel regularly, you know that one of the things that I have been working on is a Chicago album from June of 2022, and I've been working on it for a while. It is actually the last trip, event, any of that I have to scrap that features my best friend who passed away in January. And I have to be honest, I'm really struggling with this. I did some layout since I've come back to actually actively scrapping, and I thought it was doing okay. And then the more I go into it, and every time I try to open the album now, you can even hear it in my voice now, I get upset and I start to cry about it. So I think what's going to happen is I'm going to have to leave this one for a while. And it may end up being that I scrap it and finish it off camera. And however long that takes me, it takes me. It may be that I reach a point where I feel okay again and I want to scrap it on camera and finish it, because I mean, we did have a great time. I have excellent photos. I'd love to share those, but I'm just really struggling with it. So I've shown some of these, and I would say it's probably like a third finished. I have all the photos dropped in the way I think I want them. So that's all in here, just so I could get an idea of how chunky it's going to be. And you can see, I mean, it's pretty chunky already, and I haven't even finished 2/3 of it. But I think I can leave it as is and just come back to it when I feel like it. So sorry, but you won't be getting any more of those layouts for a while, because frankly, I'm just not up to it. So the only other thing, if I'm remembering correctly, that I have to finish for 2022 is my album from my Europe trip, which was Amsterdam, multiple cities in Belgium, and then one city in France. And this is the album I have picked out. It is a 6x12. This is actually from a company that is based in Spain. And I freaking love the inside of this. I mean, come on. It's very cool. When I bought this, the shipping wasn't so bad. So I just bought a bunch of stuff from them. I had it shipped, and I think shipping was like $20 or $25. But for the amount that I was buying, I was totally fine with that. Now, like, it has become astronomical. So I'm glad I actually bought 2 of these at the time. And I'm very glad I did, because now, like, I wouldn't do it. I just don't have enough that I need to justify the shipping that has gone up. So 2 of these will probably be all I get, but I love the look of them. I'm really hoping I can fit that whole trip into this one album. Look at the rings. I mean, they're pretty wide there. I think I can do it if I really try hard and think about what I'm putting in there. But I just wanted to show, like, that's my plan for this. All I've done is gather stuff. That's it. I haven't scrapped anything. I did print some of the photos, but not all, so I really would have to plan it out more. But I just wanted to give you an idea, like, that's the only other thing I have outstanding from last year. And when I get to that, I don't know, maybe it'll be the next thing I start, since I'm kind of putting Chicago to the wayside. But I don't know, we'll see. So I have so many things for 2023. I have lots of travel this year that I had to, like, make myself a note so I wouldn't forget. So in this particular album, it's a 6x8. You can kind of see here, it's from Simple Stories. And this was a special one. I don't remember. Oh, I'm sorry, I lied. It's not Simple Stories, it's Becky Higgins. So I'm sure it's not available anymore. There's very few of these are, but I bought it for some winter stuff, eventually, like, got rid of that, and now have repurposed it. And this is actually going to be my trip in January, when I went home to Colorado to see my friend who had cancer, and actually he passed away 2.5 weeks after I was home. So that has been tough as well. I haven't started it. All I've done is drop in photos and that will not be on camera. I kind of learned my lesson from Chicago that I don't think any of that will make it to video, and that's completely fine. I'm fine with that. I want to keep it for myself. So I'm sure everybody understands. If you've lost someone, you know it's hard, and not everything has to be on camera. But then in the other part of this, that really doesn't take up that much room. And so in the other part of this starting here will be Milwaukee. So all of this, I've dropped in most of the photos, not all, but most of that will be Milwaukee. I've dropped in a couple cards that I think might work that I had pulled already. So that's all in there, but I haven't started it. So that's just sitting there. But it's pretty well spaced. I might be able to even get like a third short trip in here, but it would have to be later in the year to work with this since it's very winter themed. So we'll see, but I do have the possibility that I could do that if I wanted to. So then for my trip in April when I went to New York, I'm thinking I'm going to use this Life Crafted album. I wanted to do this size if I could. I think it'll work. I mean, I do have some photos that are horizontal, but I could get creative with how I include them. And this color would work very well because I have quite a few pictures that were either sunrise or sunset. And there's this very pink kind of coral hue to a lot of those photos. And I think this might really work well. I bought this on a whim when they had their imperfect sale that they do with their albums, and I just like the color, so I bought it. Didn't know what I was going to do with it, and now I think it's going to work out perfectly for New York. Then in May, I am going to Cincinnati with a friend of mine, and I think I'm going to sort of plan ahead a little bit and use this album. It will be my hope anyway, that it will fit in a 6x8. I think it will because really we're only there 3 days, so it should fit in here. I know part of what we're going to do is visit some gardens, so I'm guessing some of this color will appear. And this is an album I won from a contest on Instagram from Simple Stories, so I didn't even pay for this album. I freaking love it though, and you had 3 choices of color and I chose this one. So I'm kind of holding this in reserve. I'm hoarding it a little bit in the hopes that I will use it for Cincinnati. By the time this video comes out, I will actually probably have been to Cincinnati already and maybe have had some travel with me videos up. We'll see. But then in July, I have a trip to Maine. It's like 6 days, 5.5, 6 days. I have no idea how that trip's going to go or what I'm going to use. So I'm choosing like to kind of ignore it. I'm not picking out an album for that. So this isn't for that. This is actually for when I go back to Chicago in August. I'm going to LeakyCon. So it's a convention. It used to be only Harry Potter. Now it's all things fantasy. So Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, I forget what else they're featuring now. Not things like Star Wars or Star Trek or things like that. That's considered sci-fi. So that's not the same thing. Oh, like Percy Jackson. I think that's one of the things there. I'm going mainly for the Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. But I'm thinking this album for that because look at the stars. I thought that's very fitting for that. And I kind of forgot it came with all these page protectors. So I have a bunch of those already in there. So I think I'm going to reserve this for August in Chicago. In the latter part of the year, at the very end of September, early October, I'm going to St. Louis, and a friend of mine is traveling with me, and I think I'm going to end up using one of these 2 albums. I think I'm going to need a 6x8. We'll be there 3 days. Neither of us have ever been, and we have a lot planned. We have a lot of things to see, so I don't think a Life Crafted would probably be suitable. So I have these kind of waiting in the wings. This is just a standard snap album from Simple Stories. This is a flip book, and the only way I could make this work is I'd have to be really careful about not including a lot of embellishments because the spine is so narrow in these. But it really depends on what I see and do, but I have them in reserve, so I'm trying to think ahead and at least know, okay, it's probably going to be a 6x8 size, and then I can choose one of these once I've gone on the trip. The last thing that I'm on the fence about is I actually just went to Chicago recently with my daughter, and we were only there 2.5 days. And our main reason for going is we had tickets to see the Book of Mormon. We planned the rest of our stuff around that. We went to the botanical garden, to the conservatory there, to the Writers Museum. She had never been to the Bean, so I took her there. Went out to eat a couple times. It was a fun, quick trip, and I'm thinking maybe this album. However, I'm not totally convinced I want it to be its own album because I could put it in my family album, but then my family album is completely digital. I don't do them physically anymore. So let me ask you, how would you do it? It's technically a trip, but because it's my daughter, I thought, well, you know what? I don't have much to put into our family album anymore. My kids are so much older and my daughter doesn't even live at home with us. Maybe I should just put that in the family book so I have something. but I certainly could do it as its own thing. I think I could fit it in a style like this quite nicely. I don't think I took many horizontal photos, but again, I could cross the pages if I had to. So I think it might be okay in here. But have you had that dilemma where you had to figure out, what album am I actually going to put this in once I start? I'm a little torn on that one. And clearly I have lots of extra albums laying around. I tend to do that because I buy stuff when I see it or when it's on sale. So I definitely have options. I'm just not quite sure what to do with that. And then just in general, do you buy albums ahead? If you think, oh, I know I'm going to take this trip or I know I'm going to go to this event, do you buy an album ahead for it, or do you wait until you're back and then sort of theme it or color it towards what you did? I kind of do it multiple ways. Sometimes I'll buy ahead. Sometimes I just use what I have on hand. I'm just interested to hear what other people do, if this is just me or if everybody struggles with this a little bit. So anyway, these are all my albums that I have piling up here for my projects that need to get finished from last year and what I have going this year. So it's a lot. I admit I feel a little overwhelmed. I love scrapping travel. Absolutely love it. So it is a joy for me. But right now it's a little overwhelming. So it's both. So if you feel that way, you're not alone, because I feel that way too. But anyway, just wanted to show you kind of where I was with my different projects, what I have coming, what I'm not going to finish right now, and all of that. So hopefully the next time you see a video, it's a process video that time, and I'm working on something new. Thanks for watching.